So the media is afraid, Matt. They're afraid. Do you want to know why they're afraid?
What are they afraid of this time, Kit?
Well, you're not going to believe this. The media is afraid of Kamala Harris could make a huge oopsie, an oopsie doopsie during an interview, and the panel discussed her lack of interviews. Because say what you will about Trump. Say what you will about Trump. Say what you will about him. But at least he does his interviews. Kamala, though, has she done any interviews at all? So shout out to a good friend of the show, Case Study QB. So Matt, you definitely covered and looked at the 2020 primaries, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Was there anything that Kamala did in your perspective or in your mind that stood out as groundbreaking? Was there any interview in particular that really caught your attention?
I mean, as we know, today, this is the following week after the convention, and she's nowhere to be found. That's what's caught my attention, Kit, that you don't, why are you not coming off of the high of the convention and going into your next speech and into your next event? Where the hell did she go? And why is the media okay with this? That's what I'm noticing. I can't believe that she's allowing this critical time to go by without doing something, make some sort of appearance. It's baffling to me. And the media like kind of defending that and saying, oh yeah, you got to be, she's got to be careful. She's got to be careful coming off that joyful high. That's the time to be careful, Kit. When you're in your most joyful state, you gotta just back off and just, have a seat, get out of the way of the camera. It's very odd, I have to say.
Yes, exactly. So real quick here, I want to just pull up this video here. Again, shout out to Case Study QB. Let's play it, folks, because if you want to laugh, this is a perfect time to laugh.
This quote, Kamala came across as tough talking about the military and foreign policy in her speech, but there are many tests yet to come, including vicious Trump attack lines, eventually a difficult interview, and next month's debate. She has to show she has what it takes once she steps away from the teleprompter. Can she manage to get through a minimum of policy stuff with no viral blunders? Kamala holds the hopes of a lot of people in the country who are praying that she doesn't fall on her face in the next 72 days. She can take heart that she's driving Trump crazy. He's jealous of her looks, her crowd sizes, her star power, and her vivacious, bodacious vibes.
Whoa! I'm sorry. No, look, I don't mean to interrupt here, but he's filling up stadiums. He's doing all these events. And he's just, no, because he's going to boost. I got bigger events too. Kamala hosting him. The only reason why the DNC convention was so crowded is because we had the DNC sycophants all fly here to my city. Get out of here.
Some Maureen words for you. A good start. It seemed to me to capture, there are still potentially some major tests for Harris ahead of us.
Yeah, she has to continue doing what she's been doing since she became the top of the ticket. She has to carry that for the next 71 days. The good thing is it's only 71 days and she has the momentum right now and she is under Trump's skin. So the more he's out there, the more stuff he's going to say, which will just be more evidence for people, the contrast of the kind of person he is and the president that he was and will be again versus her. So if she can continue doing what she's doing for the next 71 days, we will be in good shape.
One thing to just add to that, some Democrats were surprised that Kamala Harris did not do the traditional barnstorming right after the convention. Usually you finish a successful convention, you do a ton of rallies. She took the weekend off. And I think some Democrats were a bit surprised that why not, keep your foot on the gas.
Yeah. Alex, what is your your latest reporting digging into the Harris and Biden? We've seen Biden is taking another week of vacation. The Harris team is going to, there's been these kind of rumors floating around there that they're setting up to do a major interview. Are they going to do that? Are we going to see her out there in that way? Are they thinking they might be able to survive for weeks without it?
They're definitely going to do an interview. Now, the question is, who is it with? Is it with a much more friendly host? Is it with a more serious, in-depth interview? How long is it? Is it edited? Is it live? All of these questions are what, and part of Harris's caution, extraordinary caution when it comes to interviews, is why some Democrats were nervous about making her the nominee. It's why people like Nancy.
Wait a minute. Hold on, Matt. Did you hear that? Nervous about making her the nominee? Thought they were all confident about it. And then
I also got to say, can we point out on the screen, it says America's Choice. So this, what is he talking about? They're making her I thought we were the ones, kid. I thought we were the ones making her the nominee. It was our choice, right? Our choice. No,
Yeah,
no, I'm
exactly.
confused here. I thought that. So what? Yeah, I guess we skipped that part. The part about the American people making a choice didn't
And
actually happen.
and the thing is too, like, look, as soon as Trump secured his nomination during the Republican primary, and even after when he got popped before the Republican Republican convention, I'm sorry, even after he got popped in the ear, when he almost could have lost his life, he was still holding rallies, events, and interviews. He was still doing everything. If you are on the warpath for the White House, you cannot just take your foot off the gas pedal. You got to keep going. Now I look at it, and boy, was it a blunder for Kamala not to do everything in the weekend, because when RFK Jr. gave that endorsement, my goodness, it is far more devastating. Here you have CNN even talking about it. Then you have Tulsi endorsing him. And of course, hey, wait, guess what, folks? Even though the whole country's starving, infrastructure is falling apart, people can't make ends meet, Biden is still on vacation.
Can I just add this? These idiots sitting around, and they're not idiots. They're seasoned professional liars. That's what they are. They're not. This isn't them being dumb and getting it wrong accidentally. This is their job, is to sit here and pretend to have an honest conversation about all these things that you're hearing. You guys are hearing this stuff driving Trump crazy. Are you kidding? Nothing about this is driving Trump crazy. They're making that up. Those are the talking points they were given, and they have to make a kind of they're given this word salad. They have to make it taste good. So that's their job. They're sitting around trying to make these little one-liners as Trump has been driven crazy. And if Kamala just maybe makes one appearance, it'll be you heard her stumble on the word evidence. It'll be evidence that she's the right choice. Evidence? No, you mean further the propaganda, further this theater. This is all theater. None of this is real. What's really happening is what you said, Kid, is that Trump gets shot in the ear. He almost dies. He goes out 100,000 times harder. And here's CNN saying, "Oh, Kamala's got to be careful." No. What's really happening is Trump is doing the thing you're supposed to do, and Kamala's being protected by a machine that hand selected her just 2 weeks ago, and they don't know what to do next. And they're just looking at the calendar, counting down the days, 71 days, and they're just saying, get to zero, just get to zero. We got to get to zero. And that's what's actually happening. So this conversation is a joke. You and I are having an actual conversation. So the people watching us know they're going to get real commentary from us, and that's why we do the shows.
Precisely. And look, again, looking at the bigger picture, if you're trying to win the White House, you have to fight. I see Dr. Jill Stein on the road. And yes, I got criticism too. Dr. Cornel West on the road. Jay Saliver, Libertarian Party, on the road. And even though he suspended his campaign, RFK Jr. still on the road. And of course, then you have, Trump doing this too. Democrats, you have to show me that you're serious about fighting. You're assuming that everyone's just going to vote for Kamala. I see the writing on the wall of a Hillary Clinton 2.0 election playing out, and then everyone's wondering, why is everybody so bigoted and racist and misogynistic? Is it because that maybe Kamala can't really do an interview without stuttering and stammering and looking like a clown? I mean, look, I just want to rub salt in the wound for a lot of liberals here. Tulsi Gabbard was the last woman in the Democratic primary race of 2020. She lasted longer than Kamala, Marianne Williamson, Amy Klobuchar, Elizabeth Warren, and yet now Kamala is just taking her foot off the gas because the DNC is over, the DNC convention is over, and that's it. Everyone fall in line. That's not how voting works. That's not how politics work. If you're hungry for it, you go for the championship. Let's play the rest of this here.
Pelosi and Chuck Schumer were more in favor of an open process, because the fact is that almost all of her worst moments as vice president have come in live interviews.
She needs to do an interview. I get it. And a political operative in me, I understand why she's hesitant. However, the other side of this is that I've seen this with candidates after candidate. Debate prep is also media prep, and media prep is debate prep. You hear the lines, you can refine your arguments, you get better. Every candidate I've ever worked with gets better the more they do interviews, because they get sharper and they know what really outside of the bubble, what the people are going to attack them on or question them on.
It's just a comfort level. You get more comfortable with your own
Yes.
policies. You get more comfortable speaking and having those rapid fire questions. So where I'm always don't think she needs to sit down for a major interview. She needs to start, and to your point, doing those types of things for debate
You
prep.
can't
It would be
replicate. You can't
helpful.
replicate that debate prep. You really cannot. There's always unless you have somebody who's really going to drive you hard. And that's key. Philippe Brains was really good at this.
Well, Philippe Brains is apparently playing Trump.
Exactly right. And there are people who are really good at this, and you need to be. But too often, people will hold punches back in debate prep, even unknowingly. Just right. You're working for the candidate. They sign your paycheck. You pull a few punches, and you do a disservice to the candidate.
Megan, I know you've advised candidates on how to handle all of this, how to deal with interviews, when you need to do them, when you don't, and you have said, you often argue that they don't need to do them. Where do you come down on whether this is something Harris needs to do and why? Like, what are the pressures on her?
So I think that it's a media story, right? And I think that if you don't take control of it, it will just continue to snowball in the media, and then it becomes more of a high stakes thing than if you just did the interview. So where now she's past the convention, she has the momentum, they've raised a ton of money. I think she should probably sit down for an interview. To your point, it depends who. They should be really strategic in that. Maybe they do go for a morning show, a softer interview at first, and then they keep building. But to your point as well, it is good practice for debate prep. But I did not think she needed to do one leading into the convention. Why even do anything that might blunt the momentum that you had going into that?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, Alex, there's also this argument that if you do a lot of interviews, then any one potential mistake becomes less of a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly J.D. Vance's strategy. You're seeing him really sit down for tons of interviews. And like the questions have been tough, right? And the thing is that as she has waited, it's been July 21st was when Joe Biden came out. It's been well over a month. Fact is now, like, we're now talking about it is now a story. The stakes of this first media interview are much bigger. Any one mistake she's going to make is going to be immediately seized upon by Trump and his campaign.
Yeah, well, and
So in other words, by doing nothing, she's still going to get seized upon. By doing nothing, she doesn't enact any kind of courage or inspire any kind of courage amongst her supporters. Matt, you've been hearing these hot air bags speak. Take it away, man.
I mean, this goes back to, I will point out that this clip, this segment was let in with everything Kamala did over the last week in Chicago is driving Trump crazy. So if we understand that is the lie that sets up this story, then this conversation feels a little more like, hey, she's got this momentum. Everyone loves her. She's beating the crap out of Trump. Trump is, he doesn't know what to do. So they're starting with that fake premise in order to then justify the argument of, well, maybe she should, just kind of coast on this momentum, or maybe she could just do one interview. No, the reality is she doesn't really have any momentum. Like you said, RFK Jr., Tulsi today, coming out on the Trump stage saying that we are on Trump's team, and making those announcements. And Kamala, not a word from Kamala. This is a disaster. So they're not even having the correct conversation. The correct conversation is Trump is not being driven crazy at all. He is loving the timing of everything. He's sitting there going, "Are you kidding me? First you put a guy with dementia on a stage with me. He was practically during that debate. Trump was like, "Are you guys kidding me with this dude?" Like 4 years ago, we actually had a little back and forth. This guy's not. Am I supposed to talk right now? Are we just letting him just? Yeah. So he went from that. He saw the convention. And then he goes, okay, well, what is she going to do with this? And she does nothing. And then RFK comes on the stage with him. Then Tulsi comes on the stage with him. So again, these CNN propagandists are not giving us what's actually happening right now. What's happening right now is Trump is the one high-fiving with RFK and Tulsi and all of their base. It's the base that's inspired. That's the key part, Kit, that the Republican base has welcomed these other populist people into the movement. And the Democrats are sitting here going, oh, what do we do now? Obama, you gave us the script for the week. And we got to the last page of your little script that you wrote for us. And we don't know what to do next. And Obama's like, I thought that's all we needed. I thought you just needed the script for Chicago and then we'd be done. No, you guys are not done. You have 71 days to go and you are out of content. You're out of material. So congratulations.
And the thing is, like, perhaps maybe the Democrats are just hoping that people are so afraid of Trump that they'll just do it and vote for Kamala. And that's it. No more debate, no more conversation. It's over from here. But that's not how voting works. That's not how politics work. And by showing a lack of action, by showing herself not being engaged with voters, that's a key word today, not being engaged with voters. Well, then, of course, my lovelies, of course, everybody that's watching, people are not going to be inspired by Kamala. I mean, yes, there is a voting base for the Democrats, but, the DNC convention's over. The hype is over. It wasn't the big old 60s revolt. It wasn't the snore fest of the 1990s. But what we got here was just a mediocre corporate show. Kamala dropped the ball over the weekend when she should have taken advantage of it. And instead, Trump and RFK Jr., and by some extent, Tulsi on Monday, were able to capitalize on her lack of action. I mean, does she have anything of substance to say, anything of value to say to voters to convince them to vote for her? And all what the Democrats are relying on now is just sneaky tactics, removing candidates off the ballot and ensuring that they're not in the debate stage, and trying to portray Trump as this end-all, be-all evil guy that's going to destroy democracy. But whose administration is trying to silence and put their opponent not only through courts, but removing them off the ballot too? I mean, these are things we got to talk about. We just got one more minute to play of this video here.
The J.D. Vance strategy also seems to be setting up a contrast so that he can actually say, oh, hey, look, I did all these interviews.
And that was also Trump. Like, I mean, if you remember in 15, 16, Trump was everywhere. Yeah, everywhere. And so I remember telling this to candidates too. You don't like the headline. Let's make a new one. Let's go in the next show. And now look, she's winning. I understand you're not going to be calling you 3 morning shows a day. I'm not saying that. But you're right. There is something to be said for that scrutiny in that first interview, as we saw Joe Biden just like a month and a half ago. Everyone picked the first one apart, so they did another one. You have to be very careful of that.
Yeah. I would just say, one, I don't think we're winning. I think that it's all still very up in the air and very tight. And the other thing, just like we did in 20, we did a local media strategy, and she should probably start doing local media interviews as well as
you can intimidate them. Obama would bring them to the White House and intimidate them. It's true.
That was not where I was going.
I know.
Oh, God, I can't stand any more of it. Sorry. Matt, your commentary. I want to give the floor to you, man.
So we talked about this with Craig Pasta on Pasta to Go, Homeless Left last week when we were in the middle of, and this is before the convention started. They had preemptively got everybody excited. Remember that feeling, the feeling of joy, and they brought that joy into the convention hall. And,
joy.
And so yes, and we knew you could see it at the beginning. And I know it was like it was a little bit jarring because we're like, wait a minute, this is a little insane that everybody all of a sudden overnight joy took over everyone. And what Craig and I were talking about, and I think we were right, and it's actually happening a little sooner than I thought it would. But I said that the joy is a temporary high, it's a temporary fix. They came up with a new drug. It's like the CIA dropped the crack epidemic on the streets, said, get your crack, everyone. And it's that initial
booger sugar.
It's right. And so it's that initial high that just feels so joyful. And as we know about any addictive drug that they come up with in a lab, you know that it's going to have some devastating side effects and consequences over time. You just have to wait out that. So you wait out the high. And now the people want their next fix. Well, guess what, everyone? The next fix is going to cost you something now. It's going to cost you, but now you're hooked. You're hooked to your joy. You ran out of joy. I need to call my guy. Obama's my guy. Obama, why isn't he returning my text? I need
Obama, you got the stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. You better hook up with that money. Let me be clear. Where's that money?
That's what we're saying. We're witnessing this right now. The come down, the withdrawal. It's happening a little sooner than I thought, Kit. This is like Tuesday after the convention just ended, and they need their high. They're out. They're done. We're experiencing the withdrawal, and I don't think they're going to have another delivery anytime soon. So that's what we're witnessing, I think.
Again, lack of action, lack of presentation, lack of interviews, and then of course there's a debate that's set to happen. The fact that she doesn't get ready to show up, I mean, or either that, will she be ready to show up? Because, I remember 2019, 2020, Marianne Williamson lasted longer than Kamala, okay? I saw how Kamala's campaign just evaporated and fizzled away. They hyped her up into something that she wasn't. She was supposed to be the Hillary Clinton Obama clone that would shake things up. I remember that. I remember when I was still optimistic about the future and so much more. But the fact that you have CNN now even saying, hey, you got some Democrat pundits now, because I remember a few months ago, everyone said, yep, it's Kamala's good. Kamala's good. She's the lowest approval rating vice president in U.S. history. She hemorrhaged more staff members from her team than any other person in the administration with Biden and Kamala. So, maybe I understand now why maybe Biden's on vacation. He's like, I'm old. I'm forgetting where I'm at. Whatever. Kamala, you're in charge.
He's busy presidenting, Kit. He's busy presidenting. Remember, he's doing the presidenting right now. I think that's where he's at.
Yeah, and so I would state right here, Kamala could potentially do an interview sometime in September, maybe mid-September, before the first debate, maybe to hype herself up, or use that hype up her base. But again, what policies does she have? Does she have anything to run on? Is she just only saying things as they continue to go along? And if that's the case, the entire Kamala campaign, Kamala Harris, Tim Walz campaign, is set for a complete disaster. Voter turnout's key. Any final words to this segment, Matt?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up that again. Talking about the policy, and it is a game. Like, go onto the website and we see, still no policy. We're waiting. I guess she's waiting for BlackRock to give her instructions. That's what we're seeing, and we know that Obama went through a similar thing. It wasn't as obvious back then for us. We can see this in real time right now, but Obama it was about waiting for Citigroup. Citigroup is going to tell him, this is your instructions. Here's the people on your cabinet. You're working for Wall Street. You're not challenging us. You're part of us. So BlackRock is who Kamala's waiting for. And it's interesting to me, Kit, that it's taking this long for them to come up with something, but she's in the waiting game right now. She's not able to put a policy on there because she hasn't been given her instructions yet by her overlords, which is BlackRock. And so that's what we're living through right now. We're waiting for for BlackRock to come up with the plan for the American people.
Here are your policies. Follow the orders. We'll see how this all plays out. 3 more days. Hold on. Not actually 3 more days. Let's see it. Hold on. 4 more days until the end of August. Then September and October. And then finally November. We'll see how this election plays out. So stay tuned to Hardlands Media and follow the Homeless Left.